Chicken soup. Welcome to Tales Tomorrow. I'm Morrow, your storyteller for today. With me I have some more RPG horror stories. Man, I had a blast having Mary back on the videos. I hope you guys enjoyed having Mary back. It was actually super fun. Hopefully we can have Mary come back some more and then have Micah join in as well, and maybe even have some of the players from our campaign join in as well. Maybe as their characters. Who knows? That could be kind of fun. Nevertheless, let's get some RPG horror stories for today while I'm getting the collabs done in the background. 4-year friendship and 2 years of weekly gaming ends over a single rule. This happened relatively recent, and I still can't get it out of my head because of how abrupt and bad it was, and how it eviscerated a previously long-held friendship. So let's start at the very beginning. Several years ago, Mukashi, I, 32 male, me, a guy in a social gathering, and got to know him fairly well. Let's call him Josh. We hit it off somewhat, and Josh later invited me to hang out. We began to get together once a week, nearly every week for years. In my personal life, I really enjoy playing games. I had a backlog of tabletop games I wanted to play, but I didn't have anyone to play with. I ended up inviting Josh and 2 others to get together and play Gloomhaven on a weekly basis. Fast forward about a year and a half and we complete Gloomhaven and decide that we want to play some more long-form games to keep the group going. After some downtime and playing some shorter games, we settled on playing the Skyrim Adventure board game. This is where things started to go wrong. First and foremost, the Skyrim Adventure game has a terrible rules book. Not only is it hard to find information, there's information that is just missing, and wrong information between the rulebook and the quick reference cards. For the most part, this isn't really that big of a deal. Learning a new huge game always comes with growing pains and figuring out what we like and what we don't like as a group. Oh my god, you know what, that's how I feel about Exalted 3rd Edition. As much as I loved the idea of playing Exalted, the combat I just don't understand in the slightest whatsoever at all. It loses me. It loses me, and I just don't know what to do with that one. So that's why I never run Exalted. When I played as a player the 2 times, it was kind of fun, you know, and I wish I could play a little bit more, but from a DMing perspective, I can't see myself running it. He just doesn't click to me, dude. He just doesn't click. Nothing. I would try the new rewrite edition. I think that's Exalted, Reborn, Rebirth, whatever they called it. That didn't click to me as well either. Some rules out there are a little bit too difficult and too mind-boggling for my tiny feeble brain to understand, so I fully get what you mean. However, week 2 of playing the game is when things started to become problematic. Josh took time during the week to look into the rules and found several rules that we had been applying wrong. No issue there. And at the start of session 2, we talked about rules clarification and all that stuff we had learned since last week. No one had any issues with the rules clarification, especially since we got to discuss them right at the start and see what everyone thought about all the clarifications. Then in the middle of the game, Josh does something that everyone in the group is surprised by, because this isn't one of the rules that was clarified. Especially one of the game developers had to state a mechanic word on BBG because it didn't make it into the rules, and it's pretty unliked a rule. As such, when this rule came up of nowhere, the rest of the group was hostile towards it. To be fair to Josh, the rest of us did not handle this revelation well, and I personally later apologized for hating the rule so much, and it feels like I was attacking him, rather than this rule I didn't like. To be realistic though, this wouldn't have been an issue if Josh had talked about the rule in the beginning, like the rest of the rules, and other players at the table mentioned in private that he seemed to take pleasure in springing this rule on us. All told, I think it's fair to say everyone's partially to blame for the tension we felt that night. What is this rule? For context, can we look up this rule? I hope you guys at some point list this rule, because I'm actually kind of curious, why is it so bad and why is it so widely hated? But also, it's a little bit strange to say that Josh really wanted you run this rule when you guys didn't want to run the rule. When you play TTRPGs, you know you could just ignore some of the rules, right? When you play anything at all, you could just theoretically ignore some of the rules that really don't make sense. I don't know how many people play D&D and never take off armor, but I never have my players take off armor whatsoever. Yeah, you can sleep in plate mail. I couldn't care less. I'm not gonna be double checking to see how long it takes for you to put on plate mail, take off plate mail and stuff. I couldn't care less in the slightest whatsoever. It's one of those things we simply just kind of ignore or hand away at the end of the day. Yeah, I know carry weight is a little bit more complex and stuff, but you see that little thing, that little slidey bar, the maximum for your character? Yeah, when it reaches maximum, you can't move. You gotta be moving at basically half speed. So as long as you don't reach the maximum, you're good to go. Because listen, sometimes it's just a lot easier just to run run with what you want, and at your table you can make your own homebrew rules and your own house rules, and there's nothing wrong with having house rules. If house rules make your game more fun for the players, then do so, and then ignore the rest of the rules that ruin the experience for the rest of the table. Now we get into the real meat of the situation, and what caused this almost 2-year-long game group to completely dissolve. We get to session 3, and Josh had a proposal for the rest of us. He thinks the game allows for little exploit to gain a potential of infinite gold, the most versatile resource in the game. No one else in the group agrees that the rules allow for this, and also says that even if it did, we would homebrew it out, because it feels completely unbalanced. Quick note, Skyrim is a cooperative game, so any other person getting a ton of resources is only good for the rest of us. We just didn't want to completely unbalance the game. Unfortunately, I kind of find it really funny and poetic that Skyrim TTRPG is a broken and unbalanced clunky mess that can be exploited just like the actual game itself. Who would have thunk they put in all the exploits and stuff into the TTRPG? Wow, it's canon. Thank you, Todd Howard, whatever. Let's continue. Then one of the members says, well, let's use the rule this session and make a final decision at the end. Now let's freaking play. We're all feeling pretty tense and annoyed, so we just went with it. During the game, Josh earned 16 gold alone with this rule, which is as much as the rest of the group combined. During one of the infinite glitch procs, Josh literally said that he thought it was actually overpowered. It was much to the rest of our surprise when he suggested we continue to be allowed to use it. Of course, the rest of us said no, as it was obviously overpowered and ruined the balance of the game. Again, rather than accepting majority rule, Josh continued to claim that it didn't break the game, was only letting him keep up with the rest of us, in theory. Josh continued to claim that my character's special ability would allow me to get just as much gold as him, even when in this session I literally earned about 1/3 of what he did. The group continued to say no to the rule, and Josh continued to say that it was only fair for him to have it. It even got to the point where he claimed that if he didn't get this infinite glitch, his power as written was useless and he would never get money. I find it so strange in this situation. You have players that are saying, Josh, buddy, let's not run this. We don't care for it. We don't want to run it. Let's just rather ignore it and stuff. And Josh is for some reason so hell-bent on this rule in particular. Is this because Josh wants to use another rule instead of whatever you guys had a fight about in previous sessions? Because you never really clarified what the rule was in session 2 and session 1 that he apparently found that made you guys really mad. It probably wasn't the exploit one, right? But I think maybe what's going on is Josh is thinking, oh, if I allow them to have this exploit, maybe they'll let me run this other rule from the previous argument and stuff. Maybe. Like, it feels like we're like in a bargaining phase with the rest of the players, even though the players really don't want this bargain. They don't care to play something that's exploitative or busted, which is fair. Very fair for the players, because some players would be like, oh, exploitative, busted? Don't mind if I do. I'll gladly use it for myself. We ended the session on pretty bad terms, and I think it's fair to say that no one had any interest in returning to play in an environment like that. Since I host the game night and I'm the only one who put it together, I decided to try and smooth things over in our group chat. I messaged everyone after a few days of radio silence and talked about the bad mood we all had, and needed to figure out why things were becoming so problematic. My hope is that Josh would realize that it's inappropriate to continue to fight the group on a rule to the extent that people are getting upset. This is not what happened. Instead, Josh says that he feels singled out and attacked by everyone else in the group, and if he can't figure things out, he's just going to leave the group. This pissed everyone else in the group off a bit, because from our perspective, Josh is the one who needed an attitude adjustment. Few people sent him messages asking what the issue was. He again talks about this rule that we voted no on, claiming that it wasn't fair that he couldn't have it. He then claimed it wasn't really about the rule, but every single time he messaged back a response to question, that stupid rule came up again, so it was about him not getting his way. Sent a message to the whole group to make sure that what I think happened is how everyone else felt. Josh refused to go with a group decision, and that led to a hostile environment that the rest of us didn't take well, which led to really nasty feelings. Josh, of course, disagreed and thought he wasn't fully heard out. Everyone else thought he was acting like a spoiled brat who wasn't getting what he wanted. Okay, I'm kind of in a point where I'm looking at this and I'm reading this, and the only thing I can think about is, what is the rule? You know what it is? It's like that scene of, what's in the box? What's in the rule box out of nowhere? Like, what's in the rule box? What is this rule that they're talking about? I'm so curious to know what this thing is, and they keep edging it and don't mention it. And I hope at some point it gets mentioned, because the curiosity is eating away at me. Let's continue. During our messages back and forth, Josh accused me and another group member of treating him poorly, specifically, as well as insinuating that we were purposely nerfing his character so that he would do worse in the game. We had now moved from being annoyed at the game to being annoyed at a person, and every message sent continued to dig Josh's hole deeper. Josh claimed he wasn't heard out. All 4 group members asked how he wanted the discussion about the rule to go, and he said he didn't want one person to make the final decision. This came off as incredibly odd to everyone else in the group, because by our account, that's exactly what happened. Josh proposed a rule, the rest of the group vetoed it, and he should have moved on. But since it's not the ruling Josh wanted, he complained. In reality, Josh wanted to be singularly in charge of this rule and wouldn't hear otherwise. After a lot of back and forth, I finally decided that Josh was correct and he would no longer be welcome in the group. In addition, while I didn't say this outright, he was no longer my friend. And I can't be hanging out with people that are going to crash out and lash out because they don't get their way. After I made the official announcement, Josh claimed the real problem was that he didn't really hear what we were saying the night of. Irrelevant, since these the same comments were made in a chat, and he responded the same was as the night of the incident. He claimed that he didn't intend to be hurtful and spiteful to some of us, but did not actually apologize for doing so. He made a comment about wondering if everyone thought his character was too strong. Again, this is a co-op game. We weren't nerfing him because he was winning too hard. We just wanted to maintain game balance and avoid obvious exploits. Okay, by the way this everything is phrased, I don't think Josh is a player. Is he a player? If it's a cooperative game, then maybe everybody's a player and nobody's the DM and you're just kind of using the rules. I don't know, man. If somebody has any kind of experience or any history with the Skyrim TTRPG that can tell us in the comments, please go ahead and let me know down in the comments below. I'm not about to go out of my way to go research the whole thing and figure out how it works. I'm just going to continue the story as the dumb idiot tiefling that I am. Plus, I'm having a little bit of a headache, so I'm just going to keep on going with what I'm doing. To vent and add more context, Josh claimed that no one could explain why his rule was broken. This is A, false due to us letting him play with the rule, and even he himself agreed in the moment that it was busted, and B, false because I literally looked up statistics to compare his broken ability with the usual ability compared to everyone else's ability in the game and showed mathematically that were even if played correctly. And C, false because he's only believed that his infinite glitch was fine because he convinced himself that my character's ability in particular would earn more than him with the infinite, despite the fact that he was proven wrong while he actually played. Despite all 3 of these things, he continued to claim that it wasn't fair for him personally that he didn't get the rule enhancement. Luckily, the rest of the group decided to stay together. I simply removed Josh's character from the game and we moved on like nothing happened, other than feeling awful from Josh's crash out. I personally felt awful for a full week while this was going on. And at one point, I thought to myself, is this all really about a single rule that I don't like? If it's just the rule, then why do I care so much? But then I realized that I and the rest of the group didn't really care about the rule so much as we did about the reaction to a rule not being accepted. If Josh had just said okay to the rule, it wouldn't have been an issue. The worst part is that if while playing the game Josh began to lag behind the rest of us in some way, we would have changed the rule to make sure he caught up. We had done this plenty of times with plenty of characters in Gloomhaven and even did it for another party member in Skyrim. We used and changed the rules to make sure everyone at the table is having a good time. No one was trying to make the game worse for other people, but we all have to agree to some rules to make sure there's a game actually being played. So after years of friendship and fun games, it all ended over the course of 6 days. All because Josh couldn't have his special little rule. It was honestly traumatic with how badly it all went. 1 week to the next, my whole view of a person shifted dramatically because of how childish they acted. Hopefully that doesn't cause issues making friends in the future, but I still get this whole thing stuck in my head months later, so who knows. Hopefully nothing like this happens to anyone else, because this is absolutely the pits. Edit. To make sure it's clear, as it seems I may not have made it clear, the rest of my gaming group has continued to meet and have a great time. We even kept playing Skyrim because we were actually having a great time outside the dumb rule issue. It only seemed like our group might break up due to the tension, but everyone else agreed it was Josh's issue, not the group's. Thus, the group continued to meet and have fun weekly. I am still... Okay, no mind. Hold on a second. Hold on. We got actually a filler to talk about here. So, somebody went and the OP actually responded to somebody regarding the actual rule itself. The Aragonian character, the lizards basically, get to roll 4 dice every time they earn gold to earn between 0 to 4 extra pieces. Based on the dice, This is 80% chance to get 1 extra, so a little about 50% to get 2 extra, etc. It evens out to generally earning 2 extra gold every time you earn gold. Other characters just earn a flat 2 extra gold, but less frequently. The card specifies that this doesn't earn you extra gold, but instead increases the gold you earned. Josh claimed this meant that if he earned gold in a roll, he should get to roll again, infinitely, until he rolled 0 gold. He earned 10 extra gold in a single proc, plus 6 more in 2 other procs. The game explicitly didn't allow for this, and it really messed up the economy. So it's just that? He just wants to be able to continue to roll gold dice every single time? The rule literally says, hold on a second, the rule literally says if you earn gold, you roll the dice and add the extra for it, and that's it. Okay, this is stupid. This is dumb. I'm sorry. But like, Josh's crash out over something as stupid as innocuous as this just to ruin a friendship and ruin a playgroup, this is the dumbest thing ever. Josh literally pulled an L. He is a buffoon, and I as a buffoon recognize a buffoon, so that means Josh is even bigger of a buffoon. He's literally such a buffoon to the point where he's throwing the entire group away only to argue for a stupid rule so his little character can get an extra gold for themselves and extra earnings. That is dumb. That is beyond dumb and sad. The fact that a player was so hell-bent to making sure his character would be able to benefit from extra gold instead of the other party members and stuff in some stupid unintended exploit, I guess, in order just to be able to have more or literally infinite gold in this capacity. This is stupid. This is, I'm sorry you guys had to literally lose a friend over something as dumb as this. If this is how stupid of a rule there was that the guy was literally so glued to, that's dumb. That is beyond dumb. Like, Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Like, this is so, if only it was like some sort of a game-changing rule and stuff, but no, the guy would just want his character to be more greedy and be able to earn more money in game. He wanted to, okay, listen, when you play TTRPGs, gold matters. Yes, gold is a very important resource and everything, but at the end of the day, gold does not matter if you're not playing in a stupid game. Gold has no purpose whatsoever if you're not playing in a game with friends. And well, like, now the guy's kicked out. The guy's kicked out. He's removed from the group. All that gold, all that infinite gold is gone. It's useless until he just joins a different group that allows him to do this exploit, which most likely they won't let him even do. At the end of the day, it's a means for people to have fun, be able to roleplay their characters, do stuff, and be able to purchase cool things and everything. At the end of the day, these are fictional made-up characters that are playing with fictional made-up money that ultimately doesn't matter except to be as a vehicle and as the wheels to be able to carry on this vehicle that is the story of you guys playing a TTRPG together. This guy was so hell-bent on making sure his character was able to profit with so much with some sort of a poorly worded exploit, I guess. I suppose that's what you call it. I still don't fully understand it, and I could be missing some great key components there to be able to properly understand it overall, but still, this is a really dumb player that literally lost their entire friend group just because they wanted to use some sort of an unexplainable exploit in order to basically get their character to have more money. This is the dumbest way to lose a group of friends over this. Guys, TTRPG RPGs aren't worth losing your friends over this. This is stupid. The fact that Josh didn't want to just back down on it, just not worry about it, or, you know, workshop something else with the rest of the party is just ridiculous to me. I just don't fully get it. The dude literally threw everything away. He literally had friends. He had a good group. He had a good people he was playing regularly with and stuff. And he decided, you know what? I want my character to be earn extra money from this strange exploit, non-exploit. I still don't fully understand. But I want to be able to utilize this exploit for myself, and nobody else can do anything about it. And decide to just throw the friend group away. Listen, if the player decides to throw away the entire friendship and friend group and the play group over a stupid rule, then maybe they weren't that good of a friend to begin with. Like, at the end of the day, like, friends wouldn't care. True friends wouldn't care. They wouldn't give a crap about if they're playing something overpowered, underpowered, or whatever, as long as they get to play with their friends. I don't mind playing a more underpowered character. Morrow is a bit of an underpowered character when you really look at the big, you know, the big sphere of things and everything. But like, at the end of the day, I'm making sure that I'm helpful in the party. I'm making sure that we're working together, because at the end of the day, these are cooperative games that require everybody to cooperate together as a unit, as a team, as a party. It's not about what you as a solo player can do. It's about what you as a unit can do. And the fact that this guy is so hell-bent on making sure his character can benefit from infinite exploit money glitch and stuff is both hilarious, because Skyrim, even the Skyrim TTRPG is broken apparently, but also he decides to throw away his friendships, years of knowing people, over a stupid rule. That is dumb. And I'm sorry you guys had to lose a friend over something stupid like this. If one of it was something more meaningful, but nope, dumb little rule is what threw the friendship away, which is honestly hella stupid. And with that, that's gonna be all our stories for today. I want to thank you very much for watching, and thanks so much for being here. If you like what I do, consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like. Also, if the RPG Horror Stories ever goes down, or if you want to submit your own personalized horror story, email is down in the description below. I'll see you again in more Tales tomorrow. Bye-bye.